Right, welcome back to Views on the News Part 2. It's episode 25, Part 2. We're going to kick off this segment once again with congratulations to young Ipswich supporter George Stone. Hello George, if you're out there. Congratulations, you are the first ever winner of an all expenses paid Speedway Experience Day, courtesy of our partners AMSA, the Amateur Motorcycle Speedway Academy. George, your mum's been in touch, so mum is in contact with the AMSA folk, and hopefully, George, over the course of the winter months, you can walk in an experience day at the mini track at Scunthorpe, and we look forward to getting some videos or some photographs that we could pop out on 360. So good luck, enjoy your big day out at Scunthorpe, George. And just a reminder to everyone else, we now have reopened the competition for October. So again, on our Facebook page, please find the post that was posted in the last week, our AMSA competition for the month of October. All you've got to do is comment below that post, nominate yourself and tell us why you would like to win the prize. You're welcome to nominate someone else as well, but please just explain why you or the nominee should win the prize of an experience day courtesy of AMSA. Okay, let's crack on with the conversation. So one thing, guys, I just wanted to take a touch on and acknowledge, really, we had a super interesting interview last week with Stuart Dixon, and Stuart, in typical fashion, shared a few bits and a few nuggets of information with us around TV deals stalling and one or two other things. And but one thing I just wanted to ask you out loud, in case your ears are closer to the ground than mine are. Here we are, early October, and we're a month or so away from when we would normally expect to see the BSPL AGM being inked in. It's usually middle of November or thereabouts. I have not seen or heard a dicky bird about that particular event. Stuart did mention last week that there's been lots of Zoom calls involving all the British Speedway clubs, obviously to try and thrash out and land on a consensus view as to what the shape of British Speedway is going to be next year. But Nigel, I'm going to bring you in first, because I think you'll enjoy being first on this. Should we be concerned, Nigel? Stuart said there's been lots of Zoom calls, lots of discussions. We're weeks away from when we would normally have the AGM, never mind be notified about the date and the venue of it, and there's been radio silence as far as I'm aware, Nigel.
Yeah, we don't really need to know when the AGM is, do we? We don't. What we need to know is what's happening, and we'll get to know that after the AGM, which, as you rightly said, Derek, this time next month, November, they'll be at their AGM. We don't get to know a lot, do we, till sort of towards the end of the AGM. Things start filtering through, don't they, in the week when they're there. I suppose we haven't got to hear anything much because they've got nothing to tell us. That's why I would think.
But that's what's concerning, Nigel. To me, that's what's concerning. That I am fairly confident that the conversations and the dialogues must have started a couple of months ago. They won't just have started last week, right? They've been talking for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, they'll have been thinking about it and talking about it, or they're very selfish, though, aren't they? Because they'll only be looking after themselves anyway. But I firmly believe it will be 2 leagues. I do believe that. I don't think it'll go to 1. I'll probably be wrong, but I think it'll be 2 leagues. However they're going to do it, I don't know. But I'm sure they'll let us know when they all know. They'll have the votes and count up and talk about it. I don't know, but it's possibly now more time than ever before. Every single Speedway club needs to work and pull together, because before, in the past, it has definitely been a them and us situation with the whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it first and second division for ease. There's definitely been a them and us situation. Now, more than ever, they all need to be pulling together, surely, for the benefit of Speedway. Not just for the benefit of Bellevue or the benefit of Ipswich, Leicester, for the Speedway in general. They've all got to be pulling together, because they are very selfish promoters and only interested, half of them, in their own club. That's why I believe there should be somebody at the top who's not involved in a club making the decisions. But that's another thing to talk about. I'm sure they'll let us know another month, and we should get to know. Don't forget, the Speedway season don't finish till the end of October, so let's get this season over first, and then let's start talking about next year, eh?
Fair comment, Nigel. Fair comment. Robbo, to bring you in on this, Nigel has alluded to it already, that the I'm all right, Jack mentality is kind of endemic in Speedway, and it always has been, right? We've talked about self-interest on a previous episode of 360, and outside looking in, it's easy for supporters to say that's what we need to get away from. That's what the fundamental flaw is in the British Speedway model. But if you are the person, if you are the promoter, you are the club owner who has invested in and runs a Speedway club and all that goes along with that, you do want to have a direct say in what your business is going to look like next year, right?
Of course you do. Of course you do. I mean, at the end of the day, the guys who run the clubs are businessmen. They're not just. I mean, they've got to look after their own interests first. That's how business works. They've probably got to look at the bigger picture really as well, and start looking at everyone else as well, because if everyone else feels, you're going to feel. So you need to make sure that other clubs are successful, and they can be. They can make it enough to keep themselves running, and it'd be nice if they could make a profit. That would be a good thing, because I'm imagining not many clubs have made a profit in British Speedway in a long time. There'll be a handful that have, but not many. So they've got to look out, as well as their own interests, they have to look out for everyone else's as well, because everyone else's interests really is going to affect your interests. So it's something they've got to look at that, haven't they? I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to an AGM. I've never been involved in promotion at all. I know Nigel has. He's had a lot more to do with that than I have when he was with Stoke. So he will know a bit more about it than me. I have only ever seen it from a rider's point of view or from a fan's point of view, which, you kind of get left in the dark for a while. You don't know what's happening. Like is what's happening now. But we're not this season. Finished yet. We're still in October. When I was a lot younger riding, they used to have the AGM in sort of February time, I think it was, something like that. And we would be hanging on, waiting, not knowing what's happening. Season's going to start in March.
Yeah.
You find out what club you're with in February. If you're lucky, or if you're very lucky, January. And it was like that was wrong. Then they brought it forward a lot, and they went, as a lot of the other European clubs do now. They go in sort of, well, before the season. Some of them go before the season ends, I guess, and they set the rules out and they got everything set up for next year. But I mean, they started going in November, which was a lot better. But I still think that it would be even earlier than that to set up for next year. Will probably be good, probably be better. At least you know where you're at, you know where you stand, you know what's going to be happening. You've obviously you use the previous season as a model to what you're looking at for next season, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and it's all part of it. But you kind of, I think, maybe looking a little bit early so they can start announcing riders, signing riders. This is what's going to happen. We're going to sign. This club's going to be bringing back. We're bringing Wolfie back in, for example. And that's a major signing for that particular club, and it's a good advertisement, and it's something for the fans to look forward to for next year. And they start building the team around that person. They know what the points limit's got to be, and then let's get it done earlier, and let's get the the momentum built and the excitement built ready for next year, and let's really promote it all and advertise, and let's try and push it a bit more that way.
Yeah. Dean, it feels like literally for months and months we've been potentially over-egging the AGM this year, and how pivotal it is and how much of a crossroads moment it is for British Speedway. But we can't afford. I don't think anyone will disagree with them. We've had far too much contraction within British Speedway. We can't be losing any more clubs. We can't be financially risking any of the current crop of viable clubs. We don't want to stress them financially by ploughing on regardless. So I think hopefully behind the scenes, all of the Speedway promoters, the BSPL, they're doing all the right thinking, and for all the right reasons. But listen, supporters, riders, sponsors potentially, they just want the announcement. They want it done and to look forward to next season, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, from a fan point of view, I would like one big league. Not so much the one big league, but just a variety of teams. If there was enough teams to make two leagues, great. But we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a better result because it's just not happening. I understand why we can't have one league, with the race nights, with the rider availability, with the cost of top stars, places like Workington, and they can't afford big top stars. So I understand, it's hard to make it work, but maybe a restructure of the sport itself. I think we need to break away from Poland and the GPs and just go our own way as a sport. But I know a few of the promoters and I know a few of people in the sport, and they're all got the best intentions, but, and this is a big but, and I'm sure Crabby and Stuart will say the same here, is when you're in the sport, you can't see the wood for the trees. You just go along with because you're in it.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say,
yeah, it's relentless, Dean. You kind of dragged along, but week on week, fixture by fixture, really, aren't you?
Yeah, we said something that always sticks out in my head was, and I was in it, and I think Crabby would have retired by then, but Stuart was in it definitely, is when we went to lay down engines, right, which in my opinion was a massive mistake, right, but at the time, it was like, I started on uprights, and then we went to lay downs in 96 or whatever, and everybody just jumped on board without thinking what could be the future. Do you know what I mean? There was Hans Nielsen spoke out about it, and Peter Carlson spoke out about it, but that was about it. But then you ask them now, they say, we never should have gone off uprights, which we shouldn't. But because we were in it at the time, we couldn't see where this was going to end up. And this is the same with promoters, because they're in it and it's their business. They'll always protect their own interests. They can't see. It needs somebody from the outside who doesn't have these connections looking in to, I mean, I wasn't born then, I don't think, but the Shawcross thing back in the 60s or whatever. I'm not saying the answers were right, but the point was he was somebody from the outside looking in, and he came in and sorted the sport. That's what it needs now. It needs somebody who understands the sport but has no connection to it whatsoever, has never been involved in it, but to come in and the thing is, if you set the rules out, we always think of it as a promoter's looking after his own interests. So he's never going to vote something that goes against his team or his promotion. But if you set the rules out, like let's say Formula One do, the Formula One governing body set the rules out, and all the teams have to just abide by them rules. Those are the rules. You either abide by them or you're out. That's the way it's got to be. Somebody's got to come in, make these rules, and the teams have just got to abide by them. You can't have them voting on their own decisions. It'll never work because you'll always get biased. And who's going to blame anybody? If Rob Godfrey, he's never going to vote anything that's going to put Scunthorpe on the back foot, even if it was for the better of Speedway. He's never going to vote it in.
Sometimes that kind of suggestion, Dean, sounds completely radical, but sometimes in life you're asked a question at work or something. I remember many years ago sitting in a car dealership, and the salesman said to me once, he was trying to get me to sign a contract that would allow me to change my car every 3 years, right? A kind of rolling contract type thing. And he asked me, he said, why do you want to own your car, Derek? Why would you want to own your car? And it completely flummoxed me. I couldn't answer it. I couldn't answer why I wanted to own my car, because the minute that I owned it, it would be a 3 or 4 year old car. I would want to change it and get another one. So why would I want to own it? But it's an example. It's an example of sometimes someone with fresh eyes can come in from the outside and see things that people on the inside just can't see, Dean, to your point.
It definitely needs somebody. I don't know who or where they're coming from, but the thing is that it's like, let's say there was that person, or there was that group of, say, 3 people or whoever it was, came in. I understand that promoters, what you're asking them to do is basically give their rights, their things over to something. They're just going to say no. You can't blame them. Because, you know what I mean? No, if you've got your own business, you're not going to let somebody come in and tell you how to do it. I get that. But this is about the future of the sport. Like I say, we can't keep doing the same thing. It's not working.
Yeah.
It just isn't working.
Yeah.
We're just going through the same motions every year, and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Dean. You've articulated it very well. Listen, let's hope that behind the scenes in the next few weeks, let's hope that there is a settled will within British Speedway.
I am told that what is coming is radical.
It's radical.
Those are the exact words. What is coming is radical.
Okay.
But they won't tell anybody what it is.
Right. Okay. Well, listen.
So, I don't know whether we're going to go the opposite way around the track, or I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Watch this space 360s. Let's see if Dean's little tip comes to fruition or not. So listen. Let's see what happens, because British Speedway, they will communicate before too much longer when the AGM is. To Nigel's point, it might be a month or so away yet, but let's just bide our time and see what news comes out, and see whether it's remotely radical or not. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it takes a step or two in the right direction. I think that's.
If you knew who told me, right? Yeah. Radical's not in his vocabulary.
Okay. Right, okay. Right, on that note, let's move on then. So, listen, a few weeks ago we had a bit of a deep dive on an episode where we discussed and we even predicted the outcome of all of the playoff semi-finals in the Premiership and the Championship. And I am delighted as much as I am surprised to say out loud that 360 Speedway have a 100% record. We predicted all of the finalists in the Premiership and the Championship. I'm not quite sure how we managed it, but that was the outcome. So big up for 360 and the pundits who were on that particular episode. So I thought we better, whilst we have time on hand, we better have a look at the finals themselves. So as we have this conversation, we did enjoy, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed it, the first leg of the Premiership final at Leicester on Monday night. So let's have a little bit of a chat on what we've seen on Monday night. Nigel Crabtree, tell us your view of what you've seen.
Well, that typical playoffs, wasn't it? Packed stadium, like them or don't like them. The supporters like them, obviously, so they need to be here, don't they? Brilliant it was. A shame for Leicester that they got beat at home. It would have been nice if Leicester had won by 6. It would have made the next leg on tomorrow night, isn't it? It would have made that really interesting. Hey, but they're only halfway through, aren't they? We're at the halfway stage, so it'll certainly be worth watching tomorrow night. And I dare say Ipswich be a packed crowd, won't it? So, you can't. People moan about it. The playoffs are, the champions of the champions. The playoffs speak for themselves. The semi-finals, the final, they've been playing out to packed crowds, haven't they? So how can anybody say it's wrong? Mm-hmm. Possibly Leicester and Ipswich, because two, a semi-final and a final. That could be the turning point between money they've lost this year and breaking even. Them two meetings.
That's true.
And the meeting, it was a great meeting. Good advert for Speedway, wasn't it? Some good racing. I say a little bit of a bad result maybe for Leicester, but all's not lost. Why can't they go to Ipswich and turn it round? Certainly got the riders capable of doing it.
They have, Nigel. And I tell you what, snatching that 5-1 in Heat 15 on Monday night must give them a little bit more belief. If they'd gone to Ipswich 8 points or more behind, I think the tie would have been over. But they're only one heat advantage behind.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, Heat 1 and it can be all square, can't it?
Could be.
Hey, but I'll tell you what, it'd be nice to think that your guest you had on here, Dan Thompson, is going to win it for Ipswich.
Well, listen. He's back down at reserve, and he was to be fair to Dan Thompson and Jason Edwards, who both of whom we've spoken to on 360. They had a storming meeting at Leicester on Monday night. That was
the difference, wasn't it, between Ipswich winning and losing?
It was.
That was the difference. Yeah. You can talk about Satfoudinoff, you can talk about Doyle, Brennan, all you like. They're supposed to get them points, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's no surprise, them getting points. But when you get Dan Thompson, getting 5-1s and everything, what a turn up for Ipswich that's been. Great stuff. Great kid. I'm dead pleased for him. Good. Dead pleased for him.
Robbo, any thoughts, Robbo? We've kind of touched on this before, or have we? When you get to the playoffs, right, especially the final, to some extent, there's a little bit of a choice about who has the first leg and who has the second leg. And I just wonder. Leicester obviously had the first leg on Monday night. I just wonder. I'm not sure either way which scenario puts you most under pressure. Leicester. Stuart Dixon said before the meeting started on Monday on TV that he didn't he didn't share with the cameras what his target was, but he did say that Leicester had to win on Monday night, just win, and they failed to do it. And I just wonder whether. I don't know. I just wonder whether being the hosts on the first leg puts you under more pressure.
I don't really know. It's all the teams are under pressure, and they know they've been. This is the pinnacle of the season for them. This is what they've been aiming for all season. These meetings, these two meetings. So, this one night, and then there's obviously one more night, and then the riders know that they are under pressure. They're under as much pressure as they've been all year, and this is it. So I don't really know if it's better to have. I would say it's probably better to have the second leg, but it's only better to have the second leg if you have a good first leg. So I don't know. It's one of them. It can work both ways, to be honest. I mean, it's gone Ipswich's way at the moment so far. It doesn't mean Leicester are out of it. The Leicester are capable. They're a very capable team, and they could well pull it back. A couple of 5-1s to start the meeting off, and then all of a sudden it's level pegging again. So. Yeah, it's difficult one, that one. I've ridden in a couple of, not many, but a couple of cup finals, and you're under pressure the whole time. So,
yeah, okay.
I mean, it didn't bother me whether you had the first leg or the second leg at home. You just wanted to do well both times, and at the end of it all, come out on top. And I think I would imagine a lot of riders have the same sort of approach to it.
Yeah. Dean, just looking back again at Monday night, the Witches, it looked like a real blow to them when Adam Ellis crashed out in Heat 3, I think it was. But by golly, did the other 6 riders get themselves together, and it actually seemed to give them a bit more resilience. They came out fighting actually.
Yeah, I mean the reserves clearly won it, but I will say for me, the highlight was Heat 13, Saifutinov. That wasn't just a ride of the fastest engine. That was a guy all over the track trying to find any grip he could to win that race. And that was just quality for me. That was just like you say, it wasn't about engine power. He didn't try to follow Frick and try to go around the outside of him. He just, everywhere Frick went, he went the opposite way. And it was an excellent ride. I love riders like that who just absolutely don't sit behind somebody. They just trying anything, and it worked.
Can I ask you, just talking about Heat 13, I'm visualising it in my head. If I remember correctly, Emil obviously was going quite a rate of knots along the back straight, chasing Max Frick. But how difficult is it, Dean, from a rider's perspective? And all of you will have a view on this. How difficult is it to go full tilt along the back straight and then literally hug that white line? Because that's what Emil did. He used that white line to really good effect on Monday night.
Very difficult. He obviously thought about it a lap before or whatever. It wasn't just a spur of the moment thing, but when he's carrying so much speed. But Smarzlik's another one who can do it. Carry so much speed into a corner. I've never known anybody carry speed into a corner like Smarzlik and still be able to pin it on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've never seen anybody like that. He's phenomenal for it. But I've noticed something on a slightly different subject with Smarzlik is he's the only rider who sits on the back of his seat going into the corner. Everybody else sits up the front. He sits on the back. Is that where he gets his speed from? Is that where he generates? Going into the corner. Yeah. He sits like a long track. He sits on the back of his seat. Unless the track's really rough, and then he'll sit forward. But if the track's smooth enough, he'll sit back, and that's what shoots him into the corner. And that's why he generates so much speed over everybody else. Every other rider sits at the front.
Interesting. Yeah,
it's something I know.
Derek, you go on, we forgot about that actually. Ellis getting injured and didn't ride. I don't think they missed him one bit. The way Dan Thompson and Jason Edwards, I don't know how many points they got from his three other rides, but I bet Ellis wouldn't have got no more than what Dan Thompson and Jason Edwards
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
I don't think they missed him one bit.
Yeah.
I see he's riding on Thursday. They've got I forget now. Kieran Rowe. I guess them for him, haven't they?
They have.
So
former rider, he knows Foxhall well.
On the Thompson twins, And it's like interesting how I'm not knocking Joe, but it isn't interesting that both of them have got identical upbringing, identical training, identical everything.
Yeah.
Yet one's cracking on, the other one's really tailing off now, isn't he? I think that's about 3 meetings he hasn't scored. And it's like, I was thinking the other day, you know, a dodgy promoter, I'm not saying Stuart Dixon is, but it's like, oh, Joe Thompson's picked up an injury, but that's hard when your brother is living in the same house and he's in the same meeting. It's hard to sort of fake that injury.
That's unfortunate for Leicester, isn't it? To be fair, you know, we've all seen Joe Thompson. I've seen him quite a few times in the Championship. I've seen him at Glasgow.
Yeah.
He is a very capable young rider.
Yeah, he is, yeah. I think he's
he
lacking confidence.
It's confidence. It's confidence, I think, in morale.
He just needs a little bit. Just needs a little bit more time in second division, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Let him get going a bit more, and then he'll come. He'll come, I'm sure.
Right. So yeah. Listen, we've picked. So Premiership final concludes tomorrow night as we have this conversation. Who's going to be crowned Premiership champions? Dean, you can go first.
Ipswich.
Robbo.
Yeah, Ipswich.
Nigel.
Ipswich.
I've got to agree.
If Ipswich make their track as unrideable as it can be, it'll be a walkover.
I'll tell you what, Dean, you talk some rubbish there. You've been listening to them on bloody internet and that too much.
No,
they don't
trust
make
me.
it unrideable at all.
Oh, no.
It's no difference.
No, I was there the other day. I went there the other day. It was terrible.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It was.
No, what a load of rubbish that is. People saying Ipswich is a rubbish track.
No, I didn't say it was a rubbish track. I just said they made it rubbish.
Nah, they didn't. No. What was up with it?
I don't know.
You tell me you were there. What were up with it? You tell us you were there.
There was just one line on it. You couldn't pass. You couldn't go outside. It had rained in the afternoon.
No,
they didn't. Not on that night. Who fell off? I can't remember. Somebody fell off, didn't they? I can't remember who it was. The racing was terrible, and Dan Bewley and Kurtz didn't want to know.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with the track. Nothing.
Well,
whatsoever.
maybe not. Maybe that's their attitude.
So don't. You're forgetting, and you're getting carried away with what you've read on the internet. There,
I haven't read that.
Bewley and Kurtz had got other things on their mind.
Well,
I don't
maybe.
care what anybody else says.
What about the other 5 then?
Well, yeah, they weren't good enough, were they? Not good enough.
Maybe.
Right, let's do nothing. Don't touch the thing. Part 2 will auto start in about 20 seconds. See you there.